Is the housing market overpriced right now? Stay tuned. In this video, I'm going to give you some perspective, or my perspective, on some stats I'm seeing in the Philadelphia market right now, and address those of you that are worried about, are your numbers working? Hi, I'm Veronica Woods. If you're new to this channel, Real Estate Wisdom channel, I call it, where I give tips for new investors as well as give market updates for the Philadelphia metro area, including suburban Delaware County and Philadelphia. Let's jump right into the stats. For those of you who are anxious about what kind of sales price will it take in order to win an offer as well as work in your spreadsheets, I wanted to share a perspective on some pricing trends that I think are important for Delaware County and Philadelphia. I'm going to focus on both single family and multifamily stats. The single family chart, I'm really focusing on the starter homes where investors are very likely to be competing with first-time home buyers, and these are the homes at the below $200,000 price point. And one stat that a lot of buyers don't look at, but that I pay attention to when I'm trying to evaluate how the market is going, is the sales price as a percent of the asking price, which really measures the average discount buyers are able to get when they're putting in offers. So 100% would mean that you're paying full asking price. Anything below the 100% line means that you're getting some form of discount. And comparing from 2020 to the beginning of the year in 2022, and I pulled these stats as of March 7th, so it's really January through March 7th statistics for the 2022 numbers that you'll see here. So for Delaware County, you can see, for both Delaware County and Philadelphia, you can see a marked jump from 2020 to 2021 in terms of people paying or getting less of a discount. So there's a lot of stories in the news about people paying over asking price, and so these charts kind of represent that. So on average, in Delaware County, people paid asking price in 2021 and into the beginning of 2022. And in Philadelphia, there is somewhat of a discount, but you can see that buyers got much more of a discount in 2020. And I believe some of this has to do with the impact of the pandemic. There's lots of talk about, as people just start going back to work, which has been delayed a few times, right? And how close that do people need to live in near the center city area. So there's kind of been a flight away from the city, as well as renters kind of wanting more space, which has kind of triggered people a strong demand for single family housing into 2022. And what I'm seeing so far is that it's a really strong January market. If we look at multifamily, the trend is pretty similar, that in 2020, buyers were able to get better deals than in 2021 and into 2022, and it's a similar kind of spike in 2021. For Philadelphia, you can see that it was even a bigger jump, close to the 100% of asking price on average for multifamilies. I do think, again, I think the pandemic has definitely weighed in on landlords of multifamilies in Philadelphia, especially with the pressures of how the eviction moratorium played out in general. And I have other videos to talk about that. The suburbs are a little bit more landlord friendly than the city is, and I think a lot of tired mom and pop landlords, when they saw the appreciation in pricing, a lot of them took their chances to kind of get out of the investment business. The last chart, just kind of wanted to frame, just some raw price data. Again, a lot of times we're talking about appreciation. I wanted to focus on the median sales price because there are a lot of outliers in both the multifamily and single family space. And I would say there's some variety between neighborhoods. But overall, I think it is kind of surprising that the appreciation on the multifamily front was higher than the appreciation on the single family front. Now, obviously, there's a lot more single family transactions than multifamily transactions for both Philadelphia and Delaware County. But I do think that, it speaks to the climate in terms of how some older landlords feel about the prospect of continuing to do so. I hope those stats gave you some food for thought, especially as you plan for making offers into Q2. Now, I did want to leave you with a few more points, especially for those of you who think that price and low price should be the number one criteria when you're picking properties. And you can already tell that I don't think that price should be your number one criteria. The number one criteria in one of the cardinal rules of real estate is location, location, location. So you don't want to invest in a location where you're speculating. You're speculating on gentrification coming in the next 5 years. You're speculating on rents being able to be improved to the point that your numbers work. It's really not the best situation to be in if you're really speculating too much on the location. 2, you need to consider cash flow risk, especially if you're investing in a lower rent or lower income area. Because even with Section 8, which a lot of times people had the false impression that the voucher is always 100% of the rent, and that is definitely not always the case. But when you're renting to a more vulnerable population, the collectability of the rent is an issue. Now, you can work around that by getting professional help and screening the tenants, but I think as you're working those numbers in the spreadsheet, it's really important to understand that there's some rents that are just more riskier to collect on a month-by-month basis. And then the last risk to consider when you're running your numbers is project risk, especially if you're still kind of at the beginning stages of pulling your team together. So is it really 2 months to positive cash flow, or is it 8 months, right? And how confident are you in that timeline? Because that really, again, makes a difference on your financials for year one, especially. Now, if you want more information about just kind of being a landlord in Pennsylvania and is how landlord friendly it is, you want to check out the video that's appearing on the screen now. So thanks for watching. If you have any more comments or questions about anything I've discussed on this video, please feel free to leave a comment below. And as always, happy investing.